And it's a little like that would be a movie that would be tough for me to watch twice because it would just like
the second time I watched it, I was just like, shit, I forgot how much I hated this.
And it's so fucking slow and drab and
it's
like
slow.
You know, it's the same concept. You watch like it's one set essentially.
Yeah. So the idea of it was another thing was like the second time I watched it, I was halfway through and I was like, I forgot how much screaming there is in this movie. Like every 5 seconds, people are like high pitched screaming.
The child
is screaming. I was like, I forgot how annoying this movie is.
Which he's a real kid, so I don't want to say anything about a kid, but like, yikes.
Yeah, they do make this kid weird.
Super fucking weird and super
weird.
Just like, you know, and even the adult version of him, like they cast that right. I got to give them that. They got these creepy people.
I don't dislike any of the performances. I think the girl, I'll mispronounce her name. She's an Irish
Imogen Poots.
Imogen Poots, I believe.
Isn't there a band called like Imogen something?
I don't know.
Imogen Heap? Yeah.
Maybe.
I think there is.
She's an actress who I've seen in a lot of things. She's kind of a big-time Irish actress. And she was in another movie with Jesse Eisenberg called The Art of Self-Defense, which I liked a lot better. She was in this like really intense movie called Green Room, which is like, it's another movie where it's kind of, there's one set, but they do it way better and they're able to get a lot more excitement out of it.
Right.
I like her a lot. I think that she's pretty good in this movie.
Yeah.
Like the movie itself,
just stinks.
It's not good. I think her performance is good.
It is. It is.
I think
it doesn't save the movie. But
no, it doesn't.
No.
I think Jesse Eisenberg is fine.
That's a good way to say it. He's fine. He doesn't get, you know what? Like his demeanor, which is so plain and just one dimensional, kind of always, unless there's something it works for his role here.
That's kind of my view on Jesse Eisenberg just in general in pretty much every movie I've ever seen him in.
No fucking personality whatsoever.
Is passable.
Oh my god.
He's passable. Like none of his performances add anything to the movies he's in. They don't really take away. He kind of does. He goes there. He does his job. That's it. Which is better than most people acting are terrible.
I guess. I don't know. I just don't, I don't
think
get it,
in general, he's just fine. He's not a leading man. If they just like every movie he's in.
But he is, though. He gets cast as leads.
No, that's the thing. He always gets cast as the lead, but he's not does not have the charisma or the anything to carry a movie.
That's why it kind of almost worked in this one because his character was just like this one mode the whole time.
His character also is like Gemma's the main character. Tom's the secondary character.
Yeah,
you're seeing it through Emoji Poots, her.
Yeah,
and her performance is much better.
Yeah.
So something about Vivarium, which like the movie that I think Lorcan Finnegan, who directed this, was going for, was kind of like talking about the being crushed by like the debt of a house you just bought that you can't really afford. I think there's a different movie you could have made here, because when I was looking up this movie, he kind of based it off of the early 2000s. There are a lot of these like big housing developments, kind of like the one in the movie, like around Dublin, that basically they were built and left abandoned. Is it supposed to
be in Ireland, this movie?
I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be in Ireland.
They never make that clear or not clear.
Yeah, I mean, everybody besides Jesse Eisenberg kind of has an Irish accent.
Yeah, I guess.
But they made these giant housing developments and then kind of left them just like basically to go empty because like people couldn't really afford to, the average person couldn't afford to live there. And it's about the housing crisis. It's about these super creepy housing developments that seem to go on forever, where everything is empty. And the anxiety of like a young couple, they just bought a house and they are being crushed by the debt of it. I think there's like a different movie there, because that's clearly what he's going for when he's talking about like the housing crisis in Ireland, but that's not really the movie that we get. The movie we get is kind of like this
college thesis,
this hipster, like, you're living your life wrong, man.
Exactly.
Take some water real quick.
And yeah, I don't know. What would you do differently then?
I don't know what I would do differently. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna rewrite the entire movie, but they make it seem like one. It's the kid who's kind of draining their life force from them.
Yeah, which is another played out trope.
Which is another played out thing. When it should be more clear, if you're going to do it about debt, that it's the house that's kind of draining it from him. Because it is, at the end, it's a haunted house story. It's the same. It's the thesis of Amityville Horror. They just bought this house that they can't afford. The ghosts inside the house are a metaphor for the dead.
One thing I noticed, which is another, like, we've discussed this on the show previously, is that it seems to be following a couple of trends that I've noticed with new films, which is this whole idea of like the what was the Sorry to Bother You, or this whole like Trapped thing, or this whole like everything's the same, like kind of take on Amazon, like an Amazonian like way of life mixed with like just like real
absurdity
and over the top violence.
Right. Yes.
It's almost like these guys. It feels like now, because I'm watching a lot of more of these new films than I normally would. Because of the show, it does feel like there's almost like a game plan out there for these new directors. Yeah. That's the impression I've been kind of getting. Whether it's Sorry to Bother You or The Devil All the Time, like not so much The Devil All the Time as far as theoretically, but just from the violent perspective. I don't know. Like I'm seeing a lot of like Midsummer, like the fucking elderly person being thrown off the cliff, and then with this one, like. The guy at the end being fucking put in the body bag, or all the body bag scenes, like it feels kind of like, I don't remember.
Even Spike Lee made a more violent movie than he ever has before. Yeah, about the over the top violence, I don't know, when you're talking about the like thematically, like the everything's the same, I've noticed that, well, first of all, I think you're getting at like a lot of the anxiety that young people have is just like everything feels like a carbon copy now.
Which, that's,
Which,
that's
and I think that's why that comes forward in
it's
modern
like
day movies.
Art imitating life.
The absurdity, I feel like that's been kind of a trend for kind of a while now, of movies are less concerned with being realistic. In like maybe 2007, 8, 9, there was like a real realism trend of just like we're making all movies as realistic as possible. Like even Batman was trying to be as realistic as possible.
Coincidentally, the best Batman films.
Coincidentally. And there's kind of been a move away from that of we're getting sillier, we're getting more absurd in recent years. I really think that's more of just like it goes up and down. It goes kind of, maybe we're at the peak of absurdity right now and it's going to go back to realism.
Right. And just the competition of there's so much shit that like, and this is what the last film did, so let's be crazier.
Yeah.